But come to the stage, keep it going for my man Ewan.
What's up, you guys? Hey, you guys ever been to a Korean barbecue restaurant? Yeah, it's kind of unique in that you pay to cook your own meat. And if you pay a little extra, you can wash your own dishes and take out the trash. I was over at Mount Baldy a couple weeks back. Yeah, it's a lot cooler up there than it is down here. I learned that it wasn't always called Mount Baldy. Back when the mountain was a lot younger and more hopeful, it was known as Mount Rogaine. And one of my buddies told me that when you scratch your head, that's what makes you go bald, you know? But I don't think so, because my balls are still hairy as hell. Yeah, one of my buddies is a white dude. He's like super duper white. I think he's like part albino or something. Yeah, he's so white when he comes to my house, all my plants start growing in his direction. And you know, whenever I'm having sex, you know, I never last as long as I'd like to, you know? I'm always like, come on, penis, hang in there. It's always like, yeah, screw this. Blech. Yeah, I used to go to water parks every summer, but one summer I had a fairly traumatic experience, so I stopped going. Yeah, when I was 16, I was at Raging Waters, and I was waiting in line, right, on these stairs to go into the slide. And then I look up, and the girl next to me, she's about the same age as me, but her boobs are like right in my face, right? And it's kind of cold and windy, you know, so her nipples are like popping out. So I'm like, oh, okay, so I turn. But now this girl here, her face is like right in my junk, you know? Yeah, and I already got a partial witty, right? Because the nipple girl over here. But then face crotch girl over here, she like yawns, you know? So I'm like, oh my God, you know? It's like full witty now and shit, almost poked her in the eye. So I'm like, oh man, I gotta get out of here and shit. So I run up the stairs, you know, just past everyone. Apparently it's pretty common at Raging Waters, right? Because the lifeguard was like, come on, just go. You know, so I got on that slide, I got out of there, man. I was like, man, they really need to rename this place. Yeah, they should call it Raging Boners. Why did the oyster share its food? He's shellfish. All right, there's a sailor, right? You know, he's hired on this boat. And they were out at sea for about 6 months. And then he's talking to his buddy. He's like, hey, man, when do we go back into port, you know? I'm getting kind of horny out here, right? And he's like, oh, no, we're not going back to port for another 6 months. He's like, you know, I can't wait that long. He's like, well, have you tried the barrel? He's like, no, what's that? So he shows him to this room. There's a barrel in there, right, with a hole in it. He's like, well, there you go. So he tries it out, right? He starts fucking the barrel. And it works really well, you know? So he's telling his buddies, like, oh, yeah, man, that barrel's fucking awesome. He's like, dude, I'm going to use it every day. He's like, well, every day but Sunday, right? He's like, oh, you can't use it on Sunday? He's like, well, you can, but Sunday's your day in the barrel, so. Yeah, what do you call a guy that can make a business suit real fast? Taylor Swift. And normally when you hear a guy like bragging about how big his junk is, you know, it's usually the opposite, right? It's usually really small, you know? Yeah, I was talking to this guy the other day, he's like, oh man, my dick's so big, I'm hung like a horse. And I was like, psh, yeah, like a seahorse. Yeah, you know, I think Shaquille O'Neal's like the happiest man on earth, right? He's like always so jolly and everyone just loves him, you know? I think it's because he's never been bullied before. Yeah, how are you gonna mess with someone who's so tall that that his crotch is in your face, right? It's like, hey Shaquille, give me your fucking lunch money. Never mind. You know that thing going around the internet where like, if you're a lady and you're alone in the woods, would you rather run into a bear or a strange man? And a lot of women are choosing the bear, right? I think that's just ignorance of bear knowledge. Yeah, because I ran into a bear alone in the woods once, and he fucked the shit out of me. Yeah, earlier this year, scientists reported for the first time 2 male humpback whales having sex. Yeah, Warner Brothers already gonna make a movie about them. Yeah, they're gonna call it Humpback Mountain. It's weird how language changes over time, right? Like nowadays, if a guy came up to me and told me he was gonna blow my brains out, I wouldn't know whether to run away or pull my pants down. Yeah, I've had sex with all different types of women, white, black, Asian, Hispanic. In my opinion, Asian women give the best blowjobs. Yeah. If any of you ladies like to prove me wrong, you can meet me in the bathroom after my set. What did the Australian chess player say to the waiter? Checkmate. Yeah, I was in the United States Army, 1st Cavalry Regiment, Fort Hood. It was pretty cool, man. Oh, thank you. It's weird being the only Asian person, though. Yeah, every day people just look at me like, are we supposed to shoot this guy? You know, comedians will always tell you 2 things, right? They always tell you when they just get booked on a show. They always tell you when they just had sex. That's a bit juvenile, right? Like myself, I haven't been booked on a show in over a month. But I did get laid last week, so whoa. Alright, my name's Aaron, I'm out here. Thank you.
Guys, give it up one more time for E1. On